How do you think the I Miss Rutgers women's basketball incident was handled by the school and by the media?
This is perfect. Tomorrow night there's going to be a forum. It's an ethics forum. It's going to take place right across the hall here in room 212. It's at 7:30 at night. There are several co-sponsors, including the Society for Professional Journalists, the chapter here at Skills, the New Jersey chapter. There's a third organization I'm temporarily forgetting about, and they're going to talk about PAC journalism and what it requires to break away from the PAC, and one of the issues they're going to be addressing happens to be the coverage of the whole Scarlet Knight Don Imus fiasco. That's my editorializing on that. I think one of the why I'm urging all of you to go to this tomorrow night, I can't make it unfortunately, I'd love to be there, is to actually talk about how the national media swoops in on a community, in this case we're talking about Rutgers, and their story, the way in which they portray this situation becomes the national narrative that everybody remembers, where everybody who's here has a perspective and that story isn't getting told, and so the national media winds up determining what the story is, and we will forever have to fight against it. I found it riveting in a way of sort of watching a car crash, and I couldn't get in there for about 7 straight days. Between the newspapers, the radio stations, and channel surfing through television, I was watching as much of this as I possibly could to see just exactly how this was being portrayed. And I used it as a teaching opportunity in both my intro class and my development of mass media class in the spring. And it became, for my students last spring, an opportunity to see just where the citizens, the public, those of us that were outraged in one form or another, where could our voices be heard through all of this noise that was being generated by the national media. And I think that goes back to in my introductory remarks when I talked about what journalism is, and it's about the citizens. How do you get your voices to be heard in some way, shape, or form? And I thought it was a great opportunity to exercise our democracy and our free speech rights. So,
I thought our PR people handled it very well. In fact, at one of our PRSSA meetings a few weeks ago, we had the young woman from the Rutgers sports PR department who handled that whole thing. Young woman, her second job, I believe. What was her name? Stacy Brandt. And she came right in here in this room and took us through bit by bit exactly how she dealt with the situation. And Professor Pike is right. The national media descended in here like locusts, and we're trying to make stories and sidebars that really were irrelevant in some cases, but they had a nice feel about them. So they were trying to dictate how the story would unfold. Our people did a very good job of controlling the information, and I thought that on the whole, the situation was contained very well. The only critical comment I would make about it is it was very reactive. In PR, we learn about what's called crisis management, where you have a standing crisis plan. So when something happens, you have a standard way of handling it. Fortunately, they did all the right things, but they did it instinctively. It wasn't following a particular format that had been predetermined. Generally, that's how you would do it in an ideal situation, but I thought they did a great job nonetheless.